So with that said, we've gotten to the most exciting portion. And what we want to do is try and bring together some of the information that we've shared with everybody here. So just as a quick recap, and again, for our colleague in Wales, the longstanding, long-running game show, we have patterned it off of that. So it's been around for, I believe, over 40 years now. So it'll be in 3 rounds. The first round, you will select from a set of answers. The first correct answer gets a point, and we'll just have to trust that our competitors here follow the rules. The second round is the same, but the point values double, and then we will wrap up with what we call Final Jeopardy, which would be 1 question that must be answered, and contestants can wager their points. So with that said, Steve, Ian, you ready to give this a try?
I think, are we adding Sean into this as well?
Sure, why not? Sean's being patient too. So if you want to unmute yourself, Sean, and we'll go ahead. And I've got my paper here so I can keep score. All right. So, and since we're just introducing Sean here, we can let him choose first. So our categories are, how should I know? So those are questions specific to privacy regulations. Is that necessary? Those are questions specific to privacy requirements for every business. And what next? These are specific questions about a data breach. So, Sean, why don't you go ahead and choose first?
Why don't we go with how should I know for 100?
Okay, and just to remind competitors, you can raise your hand to be the first to answer, but you must do so after I have completed the question. Or the answer. Okay.
Just like the TV show.
Exactly. So how should I know for 100? Okay. Organizations are generally required to obtain this before they collect personal information. Oh, Steve's got his hand up.
Hey, what is this? Look.
You're cheating, yeah. So I would say informed consent. We have to get consent before we collect any personal identifiable information from a data subject.
And Steve is on the board first with 100.
I'm filing a protest.
Okay, yeah, so informed or meaningful consent. All right. So, Steve, you now have control of the board.
Okay, let's go. What's next for 300?
Ooh, what next for 300? And again, I remind competitors that you can answer after I have completed the statement. The information contained in one of these provides the insight to gauge the severity of a breach. And Steve is first again.
What a shock.
I would say data protection impact assessment.
That is correct. We were actually looking for a threat risk assessment, but we will accept data protection impact assessment. So Steve is out in the lead now with another 300 and still has control of the board.
Okay, is that necessary for 300?
Well, he's going for the big numbers here. All right. Completing one of these will identify the effect on business activity on the personal information that businesses process, store, and share. Beep, beep. Okay. I'm sorry, time had expired on that one. We would have actually accepted DPIA as well. In Canada, the DPIA is broken into 2 components. One is called the Privacy Impact Assessment, and that is what we are looking for here. All right, so Steve, you have maintained control of the board. We will have our final first round Jeopardy. Go ahead and choose.
Okay, how should I know for 200?
How should I know for 200? This must be clearly stated as the reason for collecting personal data. And we have Steve again.
and
I think you might need to raise your hand. Your buzzer is a little slow on the light.
I think Ian was flashing the light. I'll pass it to Ian.
That's okay.
Go on, Ian. It's okay.
Go ahead, Ian.
You're flashing the light.
What is legitimate interest?
Steve, what is your answer?
So it must be clearly stated as the reason. So it's the we did this the other day. You've got a different terminology to how I would say it. So I'm going to go pass because I'm not going to make myself look silly.
Okay, so we will give the 200 to Ian for legitimate interest. We will accept that answer. The answer we were looking for is purpose. We must clearly state our purpose before collecting any personal data.
Tomato, tomato, Nigel. All right, moving on.
Okay, so Ian now has control of the board. We are now moving to our second round where point values double, so lots of opportunity for Sean to get back into the game.
A day in the
Go
life
ahead,
for
Ian.
400. Oh, go ahead.
A day in a life for 600. What the heck?
Day in life for 600. Okay, this could change the whole board here.
What does a day in the life mean? What do we have to do for that? Sorry, you have to explain to the non-Canadian person on the
Okay, I
phone.
didn't click the categories in this one.
Oh, sorry. Yes, my mistake. So Class Act is a category specific to, we will give you a statement and you must tell us which specific regulatory act that is from. A day in the life is focusing on privacy best practices. And he said, she said, are investigations by the Privacy Commissioner.
So I'm going to change
with that said, Steve, did you still want to go with the day in the life?
Now I'm going to change it to he said, she said for 600.
He said, she said for 600. Okay. This company was banned in the UK, Canada, and Illinois for artificially assuming they could illegally collect images.
I think Ian's cheating here.
Was that Ian's hand going up?
Yes, it was. It was.
Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the correct name of the company. Clear. What is Clear? Oh, Clear something.
Optics?
Is that an answer, Sean?
No, it's a guess, actually.
Okay.
Can we have a clue, Nigel, please?
Well, Ian is on the right track. He's just missing the second part of the name. So we will accept that answer. The full registered name of the company is Clearview AI, who just now goes by the term Clearview. And again, their argument when they were investigated was that, well, we're just scraping images from the web and anything on the web is public domain. Well, apparently authorities in the UK, Canada, and Illinois have all ruled that no, that is not the case. You must have permission. And the UK has even gone as far as requiring Clearview to remove all images of UK residents who have not given permission. So we will give Ian, so Ian is now in the lead with 800. Steve is at 400. And again, lots of time for Sean to catch up. So let's give control of the board to Sean.
Class Act for 6, please.
Class Act for 6. Okay. This act includes guidelines to regulate the personal information for employees of a FWUB being federal work, undertaking, or business. This act.
Wow.
And just to clarify, when we say federal, we would be looking at an industry, say transportation, because the reason this is a federally regulated act is because it applies to businesses that cross multiple provincial boundaries or possibly operate at the company level.
So,
okay, Ian has his hand up. Sorry, Steve, he beat you to it.
He beat me to it.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I say Pepita.
Yeah.
And you are correct for 600. So you have retaken the lead.
See how nice I am to you, Steve?
All right, so one more before we go to Final Jeopardy.
Okay, so I will go for a day in the life 600. Please.
Day in the life 600. Okay, best practices. This is used to manage the storage, deletion, or destruction of personal data. Steve.
Well, I would say retention policy.
Absolutely. Retention policy or retention schedule is what we were looking for. So Steve firmly in the lead with 1600. Okay.
I'm going to come
And
back
with
and
that,
there we go.
and with that, we will go to Final Jeopardy. So just because we've had so much success, we are going back to the category of regulation. So before we put up the final question, we will have to ask the competitors, and for this one, we will add 500 to Sean's total, so that he can wager as well. So Steve, you are currently in the lead with 1,500 points. Before we ask the question, knowing that it is about regulations, how much of your point total would you like to wager?
All of it, please.
Oh,
All the
in.
cheese.
Okay.
All in.
Ian, you're at 800. How much would you like to wager?
well, I gotta be all in now for sure.
Good. Ian is all in for 800. And Sean?
All the cheese.
All the cheese. Oh,
All the
yeah. I
cheese.
thought maybe you go for 0 and play it safe. All right. So here we go. And
So we have to write down our answer. So
regardless of the number of records involved, in case of a breach, what determines if an organization must report the breach to a privacy authority? So regardless of the number of records, what determines if an organization must report the breach to privacy authority? And I'll remind our contestants that this category is under regulations. So remember, write down your answer.
Shout it out. Okay, I've written mine down.
Okay. And
No
I would be playing the theme, but the audio is not working at this time. All right. So, all right. So we will start with Sean.
I have nothing. I have no idea.
Okay. All right. I thought you might have written down something just as a guess. Okay.
Well, yeah, it would just be ridiculous, I think. So.
Okay. Next, Ian.
what is a threat risk assessment?
What is a threat risk assessment? Okay. And Steve.
Okay, what is the severity of the breach?
Right. And how do we determine that?
Through a threat risk assessment. I don't
All right.
understand the rules.
Okay, good.
So the determining factor, and it could be just one record that's involved. It could be a million records that are involved. But the thing that determines whether or not it must be reported to a privacy authority. Now, how any company manages a breach is a separate process. But the requirement to report it to an authority is if you can determine there is a real risk of significant harm.
Can I add one thing in there, Nigel, as well?
Absolutely.
Looking at how do we decide then to report to the individuals concerned, so that the people who are potentially at risk from being harmed from exposed on a data breach. And again, there are loads of different ways how companies can do this, by email direct to the person, or they can do mail shots out through the press and the media as well, like some of the big companies would do for some organizations that are collecting X customer data. So then they put a big media post out there to say that they've been breached, like British Airways did a couple of years ago, just before the COVID pandemic hit the whole world.
Oh, Alex, are you going to accept my answer and make me the winner?
All right. Well, this is where I needed audio because.
Everyone's doing it.
Oh.
And I was going to play the hot chocolate song, but we all remember that, right?
Yeah.
So yes, Ian, you are a winner, and Sean, you are a winner, and Steve, you are a winner.
That's the Canadian way, isn't it?
Everyone's a winner for attending our session today, and hopefully having some fun with it as well.
Yeah, it was informative.
So in conclusion, again, I would like to reiterate that we are not selling you this. And if anybody does sell you any kind of solution that says they can keep your personal identifiable information 100% safe, be wary, because there really is no such thing. However, every business must make a reasonable effort, and that is the word that you will see in all privacy legislation, and that is reasonable. So every business must make a reasonable effort to secure it and have a plan in place in case a breach does occur. So hopefully you have found this fun and informative, and we can certainly help if you want to start the conversation. So there are many ways to get a hold of us. Myself, Nigel at Pt3 Privacy, Ian or Sean would be happy to respond to you. On the web, you can find us at jwtprivacygroup.com, and we are also on LinkedIn if you again search for JWT Privacy Group. So I would like to do a big shout out to everyone who attended today, and particular thank you to our special guest, Steve, my colleague, and my colleagues, Ian and Sean.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
job,
Have a good one.